Now I'd like to introduce our treasurer, Susan Witt, to give the treasurer's report.
So I have a job, annual task to report to members on the financial state of the organization. In 2014, the income to the Community Land Trust was $57,500. $50,000 of that came from leases from our 24 leaseholds. $7,500 came from your memberships and additional donations. Our expenses in 2014 were $49,000, leaving $8,500 to add to our fund to oversee leases and purchase more land. Our current cash balance is $72,000. The income from the lease fees is primarily spent on direct expenses related to ownership and management of land, insurance, taxes, septic pump inspections, electricity for the well, bookkeeping, donations to the volunteer fire department, what all good citizens pay. And I actually have a story to tell you about that. The Community Land Trust bought the land at Indian Line Farm in 1999. The Nature Conservancy bought the conservation easement on the land. But it was farmers Al Thorpe and Elizabeth Keene who bought the buildings. When they did, the Community Land Trust gave them a long-term lease of the land, a lease that requires organic farming methods, production for local markets, farmer occupancy of buildings. Donations from citizens in this region to the Community Land Trust paid for the cost of the land. So that meant those two young farmers started farming without the burden of debt on the land. A service to this local community, as all of you know who are shareholders at Indian Line Farm. Thank you, Liz. But here's the story I want to tell. When the first tax bill arrived from the town of Egremont for Indian Line Farm, it showed a zero taxable value. I had a call from Al Thorpe. "This is unfair," he said. "We use the roads and other town services. And when the babies come, they will go to local schools. We should be paying taxes to the land, to the town." The CLT agreed. The land owned by a community land trust is actively used for housing and business purposes. Our policy is to pay normal property taxes. Perhaps the town was thinking that the Community Land Trust was a conservation land trust that holds land that is wild and vacant and is tax exempt. Should we complain? I asked Al. "Yes," he said. So we made an appointment with the assessor in Egremont. Al and I drove down. The assessor was sitting in the office with the town staff. And we came in and said, "We want to complain about the tax bill." The assessor looked at the bill, looked up at Al, looked over at me. He said, "You want the bill changed?" And Al said, "Yes." And he said, said the same thing again. We use the roads, we use the services, and when the babies come, we'll use the schools. The assessor looked down again, looked up at Al, and the office staff was just about holding all their laughing inside. They were ready to burst, but they knew they had to be quiet. He looked down again at the bill, looked up at Al, and said, "How much?" So we worked out a figure, but when we left, the office staff finally just broke out laughing and said, "This will be a day long remembered in the town of Egremont." So the majority of the income to the community land trust goes to paying standard expenses relative to property management. Some part of the lease fee goes to administration of the organization, but the bulk of the support for the organization itself comes from you and a volunteer board of directors. And we need your support, we need your memberships, we need you to tell others about the community land trust. But to leave the treasurer's report to just income and expenses would not be accurate. The CLT, the Community Land Trust, as Billy explains, holds 3 parcels of land with a total of 24 leaseholds. The leases provide the right to repurchase the buildings at the time of sale for current replacement cost adjusted for deterioration. That means the land value is not included. The role of the Community Land Trust is to protect that land value, hold that land value, and keep that site for community-defined purposes. That's our role. That's our major work. Indian Line Farm will remain an active organic farm producing for local markets. The homes at Forest Row will remain available for year-round residents at an affordable price. So though a modest budget, the Community Land Trust has served a purpose larger than its size suggests. Thank you for your support of it.